Welcome back, everyone, to the political process. And this episode, we're going to be playing as the governor of California. Um, we're going to try to make the state a lot better than what it was. Obviously, we're forced to play as a Democrat, but we're going to be playing as a moderate Democrat. So let's look at some of the issues for the state. Um, the economy needs improvement, government approval rating overall. Um, we could try to make some improvements with poverty, taxation. Healthcare seems to be okay, but we need to work on crime and infrastructure. So we're not going to be able to do all of these things all at once. So we're going to do it kind of gradually. All right, let's push up our funding. All right, so let's go to the next week where we're going to create the state budget. So it looks like we are 3 billion in the hole for the treasury and 7.1 billion-dollar deficit. We have $0 in unemployment trust fund. Um, and the healthcare trust fund also. So we're going to try to work on these things to get them funded properly. So we are forced to, let's see, do we make out better with regular income tax? So let's see if I raise that to 255. Then the second bracket up to 5. And if I push that up to 8%. So our budget has a $1 billion surplus. Let's cut back the deductions. Let's make that 3,500. So do we make out better with that? Or do we make out better with... See, the only thing is the flat tax is going to really hammer the lower bracket. If we... Yeah, that's not going to work out for now. So we're better off with the regular income tax. We're not going to charge a property tax at all. Vehicle registration, we can drop that down by $10. All right, the road trust fund is there. Corporate tax is 5%. We're going to leave it at that. Um, gasoline tax. We're going to leave that alone also. But the unemployment payroll tax. Um, let's Alright, we're gonna bump that up to 4%. And taxable income limit, we're gonna lower that. Alright, now we're gonna leave it as it is. Let's let's leave it at that. Um, Average benefits, that's the one I wanted to. Alright, drop that down to 5,500. Sales tax is 7%. Um, Tobacco tax rate, we're gonna raise that to $1. Alcohol, we're gonna raise that to 50 cents. Let's see, carbon tax. We're not gonna touch that at all. Alright, so I believe that's done. Let's go to education. Alright, we're gonna leave that alone. Low tax communities. Do that one. Alright, grants for tutor funding. No, we can't afford that. Alright, so for this part, state funding for local education. Alright, so we'll leave that there. Let's see. Education for non-English speakers, we're gonna drop that down. Summer school, we'll leave that as is. State library. Alright, let's go to Health and Human Services. Medicaid expansion. Alright, foster care, we have that taken care of. Addiction services, mental health. All right. Let me see. All right, what if we do this? And what if we drop this down to 10,000? Only the low income. So if we're gonna do that, we need to drop this down. All right, so that saved us some money there. All right, Attorney General. All right, that's fine. All right, free reduce. All right, so we'll do that. Free and reduce cost school lunches. We'll do that. Um, let's see what else. We're not doing universal. We'll do the free breakfast also. That should help low income families. Let's see. Agriculture. That's what we're in. Environmental quality. You can use the same as last year's budget. Just a little more. Transportation. State road construction. Raise that to about 3. State road maintenance. Yeah, last year's budget was 11 billion. We're definitely not spending that amount. All right, corrections. All right, so we have drug courts. Drug rehab programs for the city. All right, state prisons. All right, so we have vocational training for the state prisons. All right. Natural resources, we're spending about 5 million more. I mean, 5, yeah, 5 million more. All right, housing. All right, so this is ridiculous. We're not paying 70%. We're going to drop that down to, we'll pay 30% of your rent, not 70. That's absolutely ridiculous. And let's bump this up. Bump that up to 100%. Permanent housing programs. We'll leave that as is. Emergency homeless shelter, we'll keep that as is. Um, high school. About, about vocational training. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. And financial services. Let's raise this to 44. And other expenditures. Department of Homeland Security. Um, we can raise that up. 130. Department of Commerce. We can raise that up. Employment Services. Alright, let's check taxes again. Alright, adult Medicaid. So, let's see, this helps low income. Alright, so we'll leave everything as is. Save the city some money. I mean, save the state some money. And we're going to go ahead and submit. All right, so now let's start on our agenda. And we're going to address elections. All right, same day voter registration, that's active. Ranked choice allows voters to. Nah, we're not doing that. That seems fair. I'm gonna do voter ID laws. So allow exceptions. All right. If checked voters without valid photo ID will be allowed to sign a legal affidavit swearing to their identity, which allows them to cast a provisional ballot. No, absolutely not. All right. So either you have ID and you're going to be able to vote, and we'll call this the free and fair elections. All right, we'll call this the California Free and Fair Elections Bill. Let's get the support analysis. Let's get score. All right, so let's see what kind of support we're going to have for this. All right, so it is completely bipartisan. So that's good for us. We're going to submit that. All right, quote, legislation dispatch should not be allowed to become law. Yeah. Okay, we'll see. All right, so let's go to the following week. Bill introduced. All right, so it looks like. All right, looks like that may pass. Let's look at grants to low income school districts. All right, so we're good there. Unemployment insurance. All right, looks like we're okay there also. All right, all right, let's go to the next week. All right, school breakfast program. All right, let's just skip to the end. All right, 9-5 vote, so that's fine. All right, so this is a huge win for us. All right, unanimous. And let's go to the state house. All right, so yeah, that's a huge win for us for the elections. Let's proceed to the following week. Let's look at the challenged loosen gun control. Okay, I think we could probably do that. All right, so let's see how everything goes. All right, so one with that. All right, so school breakfast program will be implemented. Grants for low-income school districts. Successful with that too. Vocational training for the homeless. All right, we're good with that. All right, establish program voters cannot ballot if they will not be allowed to. If voters cannot provide a valid. Okay, yep, we support that. All right, so that made it. And alcohol tax being raised, that made it also. All right, vote on legislation, need base. Okay, let's go here. Okay, oh, we support that. All right, that went through. Low income school districts. Yep, that went through. All right, tobacco tax. Yep, that went through also. All right, school lunch programs. That went through also. All right, so let's see what else we can. Let's go with guns. All right, universal background checks. Let's look at education or health. Redistricting rules determine the method of guidelines. Districts. All right, so we'll allow that. No, we're not doing that. Criminals are allowed to vote? No, no, we're not doing that. Criminals must petition for their voting rights rather than have an automatic. Alright, so we'll allow former criminals to vote, but not incarcerated ones. Alright, criminal. Alright, let's go with. Alright, state criminal. Let's just go with California Criminal Voting Rights Bill. And we are going to submit that. Alright, so we have the votes. So we'll support that. Vehicle registration. We lowered that. Tobacco tax, that's good. California voting rights, so it passed the committee. Alright, let's see, what do we have for this week now? Alright, registration. Alright, so we're good there. Unemployment insurance. Alright, alcohol tax increases from 45 cents per gallon to 50 cents per gallon. We support that. Um, ooh. So it's a tie. Alright, reduce income tax. Alright, we'll see what we can do. Alright, grants to low-income school districts. Establishes the program providing $500 per student within 100% of the poverty level. Yeah, we'll sign that. Alright, vehicle registration. Alright, unanimous. All right, income tax. All right, 31 to 9. All right, free and reduced cost school lunches establishes the program providing free lunch to students at 310% of the poverty rate and provides reduced cost lunch to students at 350% of the poverty rate. Yeah, we'll go ahead and support that. And tobacco tax increase from 87 cents to $1. We'll support that. Unemployment insurance increases tax rate from 3% to 4%, decreases taxable income from 11,750 to 11,700, decreases unemployment benefits from 6,150 to 5,500. Yeah, we'll do that also. We'll see how that works out and we'll make an adjustment the following year if it's an issue. Vehicle registration tax decreases tax rate from $46 per vehicle to $36 per vehicle. We'll approve that. Vote on legislation for income tax. Increases first bracket rate from 1% to 2.55%. Increases second bracket from 450 to 505. And increases third bracket from 7.85 to 8. Increases standard deduction from 4,000 to 3,500. We will support that. Free Community College Act. Alright, that's a little too liberal for me. Um, Free Community College Act. Let's look at the Senate. Alright, so I'm going to vote on this and oppose. The state legislature has overturned your veto with a two-thirds majority vote. HB 16 becomes law. We'll do that. All right, so we're just going to go to week 20. All right. Um, Free Community College, we're going to cut that out. Um, It will submit that. Nope, they're not gonna go for it. Alright, so we're at week 20. So I'm going to end this episode. You guys can let me know, how do you like this so far? Please click the like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you soon.